Present.
Commissioner Midgley? Commissioner Roostaller?
Present.
Commissioner Songa? I do have one phone number on here that I'm not sure that might be Commissioner Songa or not. So, Commissioner Songa, are you present for the meeting? That marks Commissioner Songa is absent.
Thank you. We have minutes from March 21st, May 19th, and June 16th. Motion for approval, if there are not any questions.
So moved. They're accepted.
Motion a second. Roll call on the item.
Commissioner Midgley?
Yes.
Commissioner Songa is absent. Commissioner Grunsky?
Yes.
Commissioner Roostaller?
Yes.
Commissioner Hamilton?
Yes. Motion passes 4-0. Any action or request for continuance or withdrawal?
Thank you, Chair Hamilton. Yes, we have two requests for continuances tonight. The first one is regarding item number 1, use permit number PA2100164 and development agreement number PA2200028. The applicant is requesting the continuance based on some information that he received late from the Sheriff's Office from our department, as well as receiving some letters of opposition late this afternoon. He would like some additional time to address the concerns of the public. There is one other item. Would you like to address them separately, or?
If we can put them together.
Okay.
Council's fine with it.
Sure. The other item is number 5, which is the selection of the chair and vice chair for the Planning Commission for the next fiscal year. That request has been submitted through Commissioner Grunsky, who would like to be here in person. That's it. Thank you.
Just a quick question. Under item number 1, when will we be able to hear that?
The applicant has requested that we continue it to a date uncertain. So what if the Commission would like to do that, we would go ahead and renotice for all of the public who are participating, either providing information tonight or within the notification radius. So it's It's up to you whether you want to do a date specific or keep it open.
Let's just, why don't we, if it's okay with the commission, leave it to the staff, all parties.
Great.
Thank you. At this time, the public is welcome to address the planning commissions on items of interest to the public that are not listed on the agenda this evening. Comments to the commission are limited to a maximum of 5 minutes. Oh, excuse me, I jumped ahead. Sorry. I know.
Take action on the continuances and then go ahead and move on the agenda. That would be great. Thank you, Chairman.
Sorry about that. I need a motion for continuance for action item number
I move.
number 1 and number 5.
Move that we continue, there's an actual request, so we continue both number item 1 and number 5.
Second.
Motion and second. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Songa is absent. Commissioner Rustaller.
Yes.
Commissioner Midgley. Commissioner Grunsky.
Yes.
Commissioner Hamilton.
Yes. Thank you. Motion passes 5-0. 4-0. Excuse me. Okay. At this time, the public is welcome to address the Planning Commission of items of interest to the public that are not listed on the agenda. Comments to the commission are limited to a maximum of 5 minutes.
At this time, if you're participating remotely through the Microsoft Teams or call-in line, this is your opportunity to address the Commission for any items not currently on the agenda for this evening. If you wish to speak, please unmute yourself and address your comments to the Commission. I'm seeing no open public comments.
Seeing none, we will go to 2. Anybody come in? Okay. Item number 2, General Plan Amendment, Master Plan Amendment, PA 21000205.
Chair, would you like to address the consent calendar first prior to hearing that presentation? We have 2 items on consent.
Oh, I'm sorry.
And I do believe we received one letter
All right,
regarding one of
okay,
those items.
or the consent items are number 3 and 4. Items calendar for consent will be approved in one motion without a public hearing unless a member of the Planning Commission or the audience requests that the item be removed from the consent calendar and heard separately. Items number 3 and 4 on the agenda.
Is that you ask staff to read that opposition letter into the record and then decide as a commission whether you would like to pull those items from consent or move forward with the consent calendar. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. That letter?
We can have Dom go ahead and read that letter into the record, and then take a vote.
This was received via email. This is in regard to consent item 3, the 1-year time extension for previously approved major subdivision number PA-0500467 of Ernest J. Goodell. Email reads, in regard to application number PA-0500467, I would like to be on record that this project should not be renewed and no longer move forward. There are many reasons, starting with the project location in an agricultural district where many houses are already built. At this time, due to groundwater overdraft and drought conditions, there would not be even enough groundwater to support this number of houses. Being the applicant is looking for another extension, I do not feel it is warranted to extend that extension at this time or any time in the future. Another good reason not to put this application through, as it does not match the footprint of other developments in the area. These are only proposed at 1-acre lots, and all the surrounding lots are at 2 acres or above, and that therefore causes trouble for many of us in the area concerning our property values. Once again, I would like to go on record to not grant an extension or any extension in the future. Just the fact alone that our groundwater is overused and not being replaced due to drought conditions should be enough to stop this development. Galen Schmidt, a neighbor in the area.
Comments or motions? Consent items number 3 and 4.
I make a motion we accept the consent items number 3 and number 4 as presented.
Roll call.
Commissioner Rustaller?
Yes.
Commissioner Songa is absent. Commissioner Midgley?
Yes.
Commissioner Grunsky?
Yes.
Commissioner Hamilton?
Yes. Motion passes 4-0. Good. So now we can move on to item General Plan Amendment, PA 22-00131.
Thank you, Chair. We have David Niskanen, who is working as a consultant for the Community Development Department, who will be presenting this evening.
Thank you, Jennifer, Chair, members of the Commission. Tonight we bring forth to you a project in Mountain House, General Plan Amendment number PA 22-00131, PA 21-00205, which is the Master Plan Amendment, and we have a Specific Plan 2 Amendment and zoning reclassification number PA 22-00132, and a revision to a previously approved action. The project would result in changes to the Mountain House Master Plan and Specific Plan 2 area, including the town center, and neighborhoods H, I, J, and L. Mountain House developers, the applicant, is requesting also an elimination of a prior condition of approval related to neighborhood I, as it was restricted to an active adult residential neighborhood. They want that condition removed to allow for market rate housing. Mountain House Developers is also proposing to add an additional 16-acre K-8 school site to accommodate the additional students generated by the proposed changes to neighborhood I. Just to give you a little background on the Mountain House project as a whole, Mountain House is a approximately 4,800 square acre master plan community located in western San Joaquin County. Mountain House master plan was approved in 1994 after certification of the final environmental impact report for Mountain House master plan as well as Specific Plan 1. Subsequently, Specific Plan 2 was approved in 2004 to implement the goals and objectives of the master plan for neighborhoods C, D, H, I, J, K, L, and the town center. And this slide illustrates the Specific Plan 2 area. Neighborhoods C, D, H, and portions of town center south of Byron have been fully developed in accordance with community approvals. Significant infrastructure has also been installed by Mountain House developers to support development north of Byron, and that was done in 2006. And Mountain House, in those infrastructure improvements, includes a bridge across Byron, railroad improvements, installation of 2 miles of underground utilities, storm drain pipes, gravity sewer, sewer force mains, water infrastructure, etc., and have done significant grading in that area as well. And as it relates to the master plan and Specific Plan 2, there's been a few amendments in the past that the Planning Commission and the board have approved. I just wanted to go over quickly just those. In 2007, an amendment was approved that revised neighborhood I and J land use plans and included new tentative maps to implement a new lot layout, revise the golf course layout, and eliminate proposed work within the boundaries of Dry Creek. In 2017, the master plan and Specific Plan 2 were again amended to revise the land use plan for town center to adjust the roadway network and relocate land uses within that town center neighborhood. In 2019, additional refinements were done to neighborhoods J and K, including lot layout revisions, conversion of the golf course to open space, and relocation of a portion of the age-restricted units within neighborhoods J and K. Now, tonight's amendments, the purpose of tonight's amendments, one is to eliminate the requirement of the age-restricted units in neighborhood I, provide the K-8 school to accommodate additional school-age students within the subdivision, modify the land use designations in neighborhood H to balance the reduced high-density units in neighborhood H by rezoning corresponding acreage in town center and to assure no net loss of high-density housing. Expand the acreage and location of the central community park, and then relocate the North Community Park to a more central location, which I'll go into detail about. And this is neighborhood H, and in the circle in red, the primary objective, one, is to eliminate the requirement for the age-restricted housing, but also to redesignate approximately 20 acres from community or commercial recreation to public facilities, which would allow for the North Community Park to be from its current location to a more central location within the project. And this is an illustration of that neighborhood park in J. So it goes from I to J. And this is related also to the Parks and Open Space Master Plan that Mountain House Community Services District approved in 2020, which is an evaluation by MIG Consultants that suggests a network of parks and open space comprised of nearly 727 acres at a planned park per population ratio of 18.5 acres per 1,000 residents. In comparison, the county standard is 5 acres per 1,000, so there's a significant amount of parks and open space within the Mountain House community. The Mountain House Open Space and Master Plan was published in 2021 and suggested many changes to the parks and open space areas in Mountain House. There will be an amendment coming subsequently to make sure the master plan and the specific plans are consistent with that document. As it relates to the town center and neighborhood H, there was a few changes that Mountain House developers are proposing. One is to redesignate 5.2 acres of public facilities to residential medium high with a potential of 73 residential units. And then relocate 1.8 acres of public facilities earmarked for a future police station from Vivaldi Street to the southwest corner of Raphael Street and Byron. And then also to expand the Central Community Park by an additional 4.1 acres. That's circled in red there. As it relates to the remaining adult active adult areas, the original master plan adopted in 1994 included a total of 261 senior residential units. In 2004, when the specific plan 2 was adopted, it increased the total number significantly to a total of 2,905. This was reduced in 2019 with the previous amendments to 2,587. The proposed amendments by Mountain House developers would again reduce that to 870. It's also important to note that it's still an increase or still a greater amount than what was originally approved in 2004 for the project. We do have a small change in the Planning Commission packet. There's a table 3.1 in attachment E, which describe the land use changes for the specific plan. We noticed prior to the Planning Commission meeting that there's an error in the way the units were calculated, and we've included an amended table in your packet, and we would request that the recommendation to the board would include the amendments plus the addition to the table. Now, specific plan 2 also is adjacent to a Kelso Road association, which includes a handful of houses along Old River. This was contemplated in specific plan 2 as well as the master plan, and concern has been raised on how the units that are existing along Old River and Kelso Road retain access as well as access through the neighborhood. So what Mountain House developers have proposed in their redesign is to include a new paved road complete with wet and dry utilities to be developed in two access points. They're kind of in red circles there. And then also pave Kelso Road for those residents as well. Now it's up to those property owners to connect to sewer and water and also annex into the CST for those facilities, but the point for the changes and as well as the specific plan 2 and meeting the goals and objectives is to make sure we retain access to those residential units. The other unique aspect for development in Mountain House north of Byron is Senate Bill 5. The state of California imposed planning requirements and development restrictions within defined waterways in California via Senate Bill 5 in 2007. And basically, it requires a greater level of flood protection, where most communities are served by 100-year flood federally protected levees. The state of California imposed a 200-year flood protection requirement, and it really affects areas up and down the San Joaquin Valley. As part of the proposed amendments to specific Plan 2 in the master plan, Mountain House developers retain the professional expertise of Peterson Brewstad to define the what's called an urban level of flood protection, basically ensuring that there's a 200-year flood protection in areas that would be impacted by a flood of that magnitude. As a result, they being Peterson Brewstad, identified a flood elevation of 16.2 feet for neighborhoods I, J, and K, basically everything in blue on this slide, as well as a 16.9 feet for neighborhood L. And what this means is that the building pad elevations need to be raised above 3 feet in the blue areas. So the initial study that was prepared as part of the project analyzed that. It's also part of the project's conditions of approval to ensure that they meet the requirements as it relates to Senate Bill 5 and making sure the pads are elevated adequately. The justification that the Mountain House developers have proposed for these changes include a change of market conditions. Lotting design now is a mixture of lot sizes within neighborhood I and J. This community model involves large single amenity communities and no longer meets the current market needs as relates to the age-restricted housing, and also provides greater flexibility to meet market needs. And as it relates to the internal consistency findings within the master plan, there's no proposed changes to the goals, policies, or implementation measures, in the master plan. And also there's a no net increase in the total number of single-family units in the entire project as a whole. So we do have a net increase of 5 multifamily units, but that's to ensure that there's no conflicts with the affordable housing and jobs housing balance within the community. And specific to that, the amendments would result in 153 fewer jobs than the existing master plan and specific Plan 2. And that's a result from the reduction of the 4.1 acres in the mixed-use area in Town Center. The amendment proposed by CSD would allow for new aquatic and community center as a result. So you kind of have a shift of land uses, if you will, that would also implement the Parks and Open Space Master Plan that the CSD has prepared. As it relates to water, wastewater, and transportation facilities, those have all been analyzed as part of the initial study and the project and remain adequate for water and wastewater supply. And transportation impacts were analyzed by TJKM transportation engineers, and then also peer reviewed by the San Joaquin County Public Works and ICF environmental consultants. And they found that the proposed amendments would not adversely impact transportation. As it relates to financial and fiscal impacts, the proposed amendments involve minor revisions to land uses and not expected to have an adverse effect on financial impacts for the community. And then going back to converting that 4.1 acres of mixed use could result in a deduction of potential sales tax and property taxes for the project, but it's quite minor. And our recommendation tonight is for Planning Commission to make a number of recommendations to the Board of Supervisors. One being recommending that the Board of Supervisors approve the suggested general plan amendment application and propose mitigated negative declaration with the basis for a general plan amendment. Forward a recommendation to the Board of Supervisors to approve the suggested Mountain House master plan amendment application with the basis of master plan amendment and specific Plan 2 amendment. And number 3 would be to forward a recommendation to Board of Supervisors to approve suggested Mountain House specific Plan 2 amendment with the basis of specific plan amendment. With that table that I was talking about earlier with the correction with the numbers, with the total numbers. Number 4 is to forward a recommendation to the Board of Supervisors to approve a rezone application with the required basis of zone reclassification. And finally, number 5 is to forward a recommendation to the Board of Supervisors to approve revisions to 4 actions for major subdivision application with the basis of revisions of the approved action and with the revised conditions of approval as it relates to the age-restricted housing and the previously approved findings for the major subdivision application. The staff report included in your packet includes a number of attachments, including the CEQA initial study and mitigated negative declaration, proposed red line text changes to the master plan and the specific plan, existing and proposed figures, as well as tables, and then findings for each of the actions that are in front of you tonight. I'm available to answer any questions, as well as the applicants, Dave Sargent and George Jan, are also in the audience to answer any questions. And thank you. That concludes my presentation.
Well done. Thank you for your presentation. Grunsky, do you have any questions?
I do not.
Thank you. Motion.
Chair, if I may interrupt.
Yes.
This is Commissioner Sang. I've been online, but my phone keeps going in and out.
Okay. Any comments?
So I just want to let you know that I'm here.
Okay. Online. Thank you. Have a motion for recommendation?
Thank you.
I'll make the motion that we recommend that this moves forward to the Board of Supervisors. General Plan Amendment PA 2200131, Master Plan Amendment PA 2100205, Special Plan Amendment PA 2100206, and Zoning Reclassification PA 2200132, and the revision of the approved actions number PA 0600327 of the Mountain House Developers LLC, with the recommendations, the 5 recommendations that were attached, plus I believe there's a table that had needed to be amended and has been amended, and what I move that we put that into the record as well.
Thank you. Do we have a second? Yes.
I'll second.
I'm being a real pest tonight, like extra tonight. We didn't open up the item for public comment. So if we want to go ahead and do that before the
if there's
vote.
anyone online or in the audience who'd like to come forward and speak to.
Good evening, Chairman Hamilton. My name is David Sargent. I'm representing Mountain House Developers. The developer owns the property covered by this application tonight. So thank you guys for hearing this item tonight. And thank you for the staff, for David and John Anderson for all their work on the application. I really don't, not much to add, no clarifications or corrections, so except for that one table. We're in complete agreement with the recommendation contained in the staff report and have nothing further to add. I'm happy to answer any questions you might have.
Questions? They're all answered. Good, thank you.
Thank you.
We have a motion. Do we have a second? We have a second. Yes. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Grunsky,
Yes.
Commissioner Midgley, Commissioner Sangha,
Yes.
Commissioner Roostaller,
Yes, and I'm sorry I jumped the gun by making the motion before public comment.
Commissioner Hamilton.
Yes. Motion passes 5-0.
Thank you.
Okay, we'll move on to other business. Have a comment?
Thank you, Chair Hamilton. Before we move on to that item, I would like to just disclose something to the Commission as well as the public. Because my husband is acting as land use counsel for the applicant on this project, I have not and will not be participating in the processing of this project, making decisions regarding the project, or discussing the project with staff. Prior to leaving, our former director, David Kwong, had assigned principal planner Corinne King, who's sitting by me tonight, senior planner Stephanie Stowers, who's sitting down below, to oversee this project, and directed them, if necessary, to consult with our expert contractor, Brian Millar. They have remained assigned to this project for all purposes, and accordingly, I'm going to hand over the item tonight to Corinne King. If you have any questions regarding the project tonight, or as it moves forward, substantive or procedural, please address them to her or project planner Stephanie Stowers as opposed to myself. Thank you very much.
And the other business, site approval, PA 1900240, environmental impact report. Pastor Gill family. This item is scheduled to receive comments from the public regarding the environmental impact report filed on this project. Anyone has a comment on the environmental impact report, come forward. Who's your name and your address?
Chair Hamilton, we have a brief presentation.
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's okay.
I didn't know you had a presentation for us. Hold on, Mr. Herron. Thank you.
I have Senior Planner Stephanie Stowers and the county's EIR consultant, Mark Morse with eCorp. And Stephanie is going to provide a brief presentation regarding the project and the EIR process.
I didn't know you had that. Thank you.
Good evening, Chair and Commissioners. As you already stated, tonight we're here to accept comments on the draft environmental impact report for the Gill Medical Center project, a site approval for a hospital and medical campus project. The comments received will be reviewed and addressed by our consultant in the final EIR. The final EIR will be prepared prior to this project being scheduled for future Planning Commission and Board of Supervisor hearings to discuss the merits of the project. This is the second meeting we have held to accept comments. We held a previous meeting on July 7th at Mickey Grove Park, which had approximately 45 attendees. In summary, this project proposes to develop a 42-acre site with a hospital campus, including medical offices. Phase 1 includes a 36,000 square foot, single-story, 12-bed hospital with emergency room, labor and delivery, emergent medicine, and outpatient surgery services. Phase 2 includes a 140,000 square foot full-service hospital with 100 beds and a 60,000 square foot medical office building. Phase 2 also includes an emergency helistop facility. In addition to the site approval, this project also includes a development agreement to phase the project out over 10 years. Generally, we review projects over a 5-year period. So the additional application is to consider the longer time frame that's necessary to review this project because it has multiple levels of review. As a hospital, it will also need to be reviewed and permitted by the State Department of Healthcare Access and Information, and that may add some time to the process. The project site is located on the east side of West Lane, approximately 450 feet north of 8 Mile Road. It's located just north of the city of Stockton city limits that are bordered by 8 Mile, and it's about 2.5 miles south of the city of Lodi. So for context, the project site, is contained on these parcels outlined in red. The city of Stockton is shaded yellow just to the south, and the city of Lodi is the pink shaded area to the north. I just tried to zoom out as much as I could to kind of give you a vicinity of the area. And then just for context, so 8 Mile runs right here, West Lane runs north-south here, and then State Route 99 runs about 1.5 miles east of the project site. The project has a general plan designation of general agriculture and is zoned AG 40, which is general agriculture 40-acre minimum. This aerial photo depicts the project site. The surrounding development is primarily agricultural with scattered residences in the county area. The city of Stockton area that's just to the south is planned for residential development, but it has not been built out yet. So this is a copy of the site plan that the applicant has provided. The Phase 1 medical office building is located nearer to West Lane in this vicinity. And then the Phase 2 hospital and the medical office building are located more towards the center of the building. As I noted, there is a proposed helistop facility, which is planned to be in the rear of the main hospital site. And then the rest of the site is mostly developed with parking, landscaping, and then on-site wastewater treatment and storm drainage, as well as on-site water well. There's also a setback proposed along the waterway that runs just north, so they are respecting the required 100-foot buffer from that waterway. The site plan depicts 3 points of access to the site. There's an access off of West Lane. Then there is this little leg that comes down to 8 Mile, as well as all the way over to Ham Lane. The review of this project began in about October of 2019. The Community Development Department reviewed the project and determined that an EIR was the appropriate level of environmental review in December of 2019. The preparation of the EIR began in January of 2020, and at that time we sent the notice of preparation. We sent that on January 15th of 2020. Our department followed the development title standards for noticing, providing notice to agencies as well as residents, both owners of properties and occupants within a 1,400-foot radius of the project site. And as part of this NOP process, the CDD department held both an agency and a public scoping meeting regarding the EIR on February 5th of 2020. The preparation of the EIR has taken place essentially since 2020. It has had various delays caused by the COVID-19 pandemic. The draft EIR was posted for public comment starting on June 8th of this year with a 45-day comment period. That 45-day period closes tomorrow. The notice availability was sent to the same radius that we noted before, as well as any interested parties that have requested to be on our notification list, as well as state, local, and federal agencies. We also sent that to your commission, the Board of Supervisors, and their chiefs of staff. This is the second meeting we've held to accept comments. As I noted, we did have a previous meeting on July 7th at McGee Grove Park. So again, tonight we're here accepting comments on the draft EIR. These comments will be compiled, summarized, and responded to by the EIR consultant and included in the final EIR, which will be completed later this year. Comments received tonight will be responded to with all comments in the final EIR. However, no responses will be provided here tonight. This project will be heard by both the Planning Commission and the Board of Supervisors after completion of the final EIR because it is tied to that development agreement, which needs to go to the board level for approval. Thank you. That concludes staff's presentation.
Draft EIR.
Chairman Hamilton, members of the Commission, my name is Steve Ferrum. I represent the residents of Metler Road, an unincorporated association, and I was just recently retained by them. So these comments are not going to be very detailed or comprehensive tonight, but instead be an overview, and I apologize for not being more specific tonight. My clients just learned about this project very, very recently, and they respectfully ask that the period to comment be extended by 30 days so they have an opportunity to review the EIR and provide you with comprehensive comments on it. This statement is not a criticism of the staff. Although I've not seen the notice, I assume that all the notices were done correctly by the staff, but there are 3 different levels that you can notify it. You can post it on-site and off-site, whatever that means. You can put something in the paper in the classified section that no one reads, or you can give individualized notice. And I'm presuming one of the less intensive ones were used, and for whatever reason, this association did not get information about it and did not know about it, and they're respectfully asking you to extend the period for 30 days for them to make comprehensive comments, which you as a public agency have the absolute right to do if you want to. And in fact, I would urge you that the CEQA law and CEQA guidelines suggest that that should happen. I respectfully point to your attention guideline section 15201, which reads in part, quote, public participation is an essential part of the CEQA process, end quote, and public participation and public comment is encouraged. And we think by extending it for 30 days, you'll get better comments to understand what the public policy issues are with respect to this, so you as decision makers can make a better decision. And in fact, I would say it's fun to watch the Mountain House thing because, as some of you may know, I was the lead attorney both on the Mountain House project and the River Islands project. And we always wanted everyone to have the full opportunity to comment on our projects, so we understood what those comments were, so we had the greatest amount of time to respond to them. Under the public hearing process, our next opportunity to appear before you and make comments will be at the Planning Commission hearing. And you know the dynamic of those hearings are it's hard to start to hear brand new arguments and new evidence and all of that and deal with them for the first time at that moment. So I think it aids the process and makes it a better project application process for the community and for the developer and for the county and certainly for you as decision makers to get the greatest and most comprehensive comments you can as early as possible. And that is the reason why we are asking for that 30-day extension. But I would point out, and unfortunately it was not mentioned in the staff report, that I did ask the committee, to the extent they could, at least to identify issues that are of concern to theirs. And I just want to make sure that all of you have the July 20 email that my clients sent to Ms. King and Ms. Sowers that outlines the 11 issues that are of concern to them. They're not in any detail. They're not analyzed at all, but they're simply their best effort at a first shot of identifying what they think the significant issues are that should be adequately covered in the EIR, and some of them have glanced at it and feel that they're not sufficient, and they want to provide greater comments. So in conclusion, Mr. Hamilton and members of the Commission, we want you to be aware that our organization is organized and we're prepared to participate fully in this process. We just learned about this. This is not a criticism of the staff in any way, shape, or form. I absolutely believe they did the noticing correctly, but the CEQA noticing isn't that great, frankly, and for whatever reason, they didn't know about the project. They just hired me 2 days ago, so I'm really kind of flying by the seat of my pants here, and again, I apologize for that. But a 30-day extension is not going to be harmful to a project like this. It's going to make it a better process. You will have better information. The public will be able to feel like they were involved in that process. And in fact, as a developer's attorney, I'm going to tell you I would rather have a chance to hear what the neighbors think than simply wait to the Planning Commission hearing and hear it for the first time and have to respond kind of on the gun. So I respectfully ask that the Commission consider extending the time period for 30 days. That's my comments. I thank you very much for the time. I can attempt to answer any questions that any of you may have.
Staff for comments. And
okay, great. Well, thank you.
Appreciate it. Thank you. Thanks for your comments. Anyone else want to make a comment on the EIR?
Good evening. Hi. My name is Dr. Jacqueline Miller. I am a minimally invasive surgeon here in the community. I first lived in Stockton, but now live in Lodi. I am in support of this EIR. Just a little bit of background, I am actually from Akron, Ohio. Akron, Ohio is also a smaller population than Stockton. Cincinnati, Ohio, also a smaller area than Stockton, who also has an NFL and Major League Baseball team, has multiple facilities for teaching and hospitals, and I feel like this community is very underserved in that aspect, and I am very much in support of this EIR. I will also be available during this September 15th when there's another meeting regarding this if anyone has any questions. Have a good evening.
Evening. My name is Tamara Coela, and I am here tonight in support of this environmental impact report. I've worked in healthcare administration for over 35 years, all in San Joaquin County. I urge the commission to accept this EIR tonight and let this very important project move forward for the women in and around San Joaquin County. Thank you.
Thank you.
My name is Ernesto Villarreal. I've lived in San Joaquin County for about 35 years now. And if anybody was to ask me, what do you think about opening another hospital in Stockton? The majority of people would probably say it's a great idea. I support this. I think it'll help Stockton grow and maybe even make Stockton a little bit better than what it is now. So I just want to say I really support this idea.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else like to comment on the?
Hi, my name is Babette Dowling. As a woman and a cancer survivor, I really support the idea of a new hospital in this area, as some of you guys have faced challenges during COVID, not enough beds being available to everybody. I think that this hospital would be a really great addition to our county, and I'm in support of it.
Thank you.
Hello, my name's David Nitschke, and I live on Ham Lane. I've lived there since '84. I live in this area, in the Greenbelt area. Nobody has addressed EIR specifics so far that I've heard talking in support of this, but there's 3 parcels totaling 60.8 acres. I started reading the EIR just the other day. And what's happening to the other 18 acres? Are they being zoned residential in a GA40 area? I don't understand what's happening with our ag land and trying to move something north of Stockton's sphere of influence right now, because Stockton has denied them use of public facilities because they're on the other side of 8 Mile Road in the agriculture GA40 area. I looked at this. You've got a wastewater treatment facility that they are going to do. Are they building this treatment facility for the 112 beds, or what are they building it for? Proposed outdoor reflection pond in this EIR. With all the drip irrigation on all the farmlands, and we're going to propose putting a reflection pond in an ag area where we're having problems getting water to irrigate crops. On my property, I just got a small piece of property, and we grow mint, basil, and we got water earlier this year, but it's going to get cut off later this year, and the tomatoes aren't going to get water to mature. So unless I pump groundwater. So we're looking at, and then we're talking about a reflection pond. Totally against what everybody's trying to do and trying to keep for us. There's alternate locations closer to I-5 or whatever. And then addressing, I got through about the first 60 pages of the EIR is all. And then it talks about the western pond turtle, which live in Woodbridge Irrigation District in the canal there. I see them when I walk the dog all the time. They're right across the street from me. White-tailed kites sit in the almond trees behind our house. and fly and hunt in the fields behind my house. I'm members of a congregation over on Lower Sac on the S there, and we had to pay relocation for the Swenson hawk. I see nothing in this EIR about the Swenson hawk and its habitat. The other thing I was reading is the residents of Ham Lane are going to have to provide walkways in the future, and I don't know if any of them realize that they're going to look at doing walkways on ag land. That's all I've got to say.
Thank you for your comments.
Hello, my name is Tammy Drescher. I'm a resident of Ham Lane. I live at 11681 North Ham Lane. And this EIR, it fails to address a number of things. And as was stated earlier, I would also appreciate having an extra 30 days to comment on this, as I didn't know about it. I was not sent a message, even though I live on Ham Lane, near the area that's being proposed for this project. Several things that I think the EIR fails to address is what happens to the surrounding urbanization of that area, because this area wasn't intended for urbanization. It wasn't intended for a hospital. It was intended and has been specifically identified for preservation as agricultural land. And so the fact that this is a hospital that's being proposed for this area is going to have water issues that have already been addressed by others. But that our aquifers are a problem. We're all having to dig for wells. And so to not have a water and septic solution that addresses that this water has to come from the ground is problematic with this project. I think the EIR also fails to recognize that there is already proposed hospital use land approved by the city of Stockton for the Spanish Park area. So why does this project need to be here? There's a failure, I think, on the part of this project that the land that's been selected is land that the Gills own rather than land that is best for this type of a project, and that this is not the right location for this project. Moreover, this project, if we're abandoning the agricultural use of this area, as Dave Nitschke mentioned, what happens to the other acreage on these parcels? Does that become then, now it's less than the Ag 40 minimum, that's the area. What happens with that land? How is it continued to be used in agricultural ways with this hospital adjacent to it? The other thing that I think needs to be addressed is 40 acres that the project is proposing to use for this hospital. Other hospitals in the areas have a greater quantity of beds by over 30% than what this project is proposing. For example, Lora Memorial, I think, has 194 beds and is on less than 15 acres. So why does it need to be a project of this size impacting this many acreage in an agricultural area, which would then prevent further agricultural use? And if we're putting in sidewalks on Ham Lane, which I, as a resident, I would think that I'd need to know that before it came to pass, but that it would have to, with this. Sorry, I lost my train of thought. I think that there's a lot of problems with the traffic as well, in addition to not just sidewalks. Your ag use, you need agricultural equipment to get in and out of the fields, and if there's got to be sidewalks there, that's going to further negatively impact this area. It's a residential area, it's not an urban area. There isn't existing residential or urban agricultural. So I would, again, appreciate that extra 30 days to comment, because I do think that it would help everybody involved with their decision-making.
Thank you.
My name is Harpal Singh. I live on 4505 Pebble Beach in Stockton. I worked for City of Stockton for 27 years as a engineer and program manager. And then I was hired by Mountain House, and I worked for Mountain House 10 years as a director of operation and maintenance. And that's what I work over there. I really support this project, and I reviewed the EIR, and based on that, I support this project very well. This project will benefit all the people of Lodi, Stockton, and county, and also it will provide a complete benefit to the women here. So I propose to select this one. I reviewed it, and I support this project very well.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other comments?
Good evening. My name is Virginia Martinez, and I live at 2305 Hollywood Drive, which is right off of Murata Lane. So my path, I'm retired now, but I was in the medical field for 25 years, and I went between working in Stockton in the medical field and working in Lodi. Firsthand, I saw the need for women's care. There is less and less hospitals, facilities that are available to that area that we're talking about. I see the girls going into the future. It was a country place, but they have reached, and they're looking out for the women, the future women, my great-grandchildren, that they will have a place to go. And I ask that you consider this. I think it's a great project, and it will help women. There's just not enough beds. There's not enough facilities in this town. If someone needs a medical care, we are being sent out to Sacramento, to Modesto, wherever, to get care because there's not enough area or facilities here. So thank you for hearing me out, and have a good evening.
Thank you for your comments. Anyone else?
If you're participating through our Microsoft Teams or dial-in, this would be your opportunity to unmute and speak your comments regarding the environmental impact report, draft environmental impact report for this project to the Planning Commission. I'm seeing no online participation.
Seeing none, there's close the comment period and move on to the next action item, Planner Commission comments. Comments from the commissions?
I would like to just discuss what Mr. Aaron brought up and ask, what steps do you have to take to extend the comment period?
In the purview or discretion of the Planning Commission at this time. And so I would go ahead and certainly that is a comment that's been received on the EIR, would be considered as part of all of the comment review on the EIR.
Thanks for the clarification.
Of course.
Okay, director's report.
Thank you, Chair. Just wanted to highlight a few things, updates for you. So the Viaggio Winery, which came to you a very long time ago, back in January, and was ultimately appealed to the Board of Supervisors, will finally be heard on the August 9th agenda at the board. It had a few delays due to a variety of reasons, but I do believe that that will be the final hearing. In addition, just wanted to update you on the site approval that the Planning Commission upheld the denial of staff for a cell tower down in the southeast part of the county near the city of Ripon. That was also appealed to the Board of Supervisors and is scheduled to be heard at the board next Tuesday. So we should be able to have an update for you on how that went shortly. Also wanted to provide an update on the Planning Commission relocation, which we presented to you a few months ago. I didn't want you to think that we had forgotten about it. However, when when ISD started looking into it, they were contacted by the chair of the board, who had additional requests to look into upgrading the Ag Commission Center even more than we had kind of anticipated. So ISD needed to go back and do a bunch more research and work with vendors to get an estimate. So that is the purpose of the reason for the delay at this point. As soon as it's become a little bit more ISD's ball game, if you will, we will report back as soon as we know when that discussion will be agendized at the board, so that if you want to participate, you can. But I just didn't want you to think staff had dropped the ball on that one. We've been checking in regularly. That's it from a director's perspective. I'm happy to answer any questions you guys may have.
What were the future hearings?
I can.
Okay, thank you.
So our upcoming meetings on the next date is August 4th. As you know, we don't really like to have one item on a hearing. However, this item was originally scheduled for today's hearing, but due to a circulation of the environmental document issue with the dates, we needed to pull it from this schedule. So we did tell the applicant we would move that to the first hearing available, if that's okay with the commission. On the 18th, we will be, we have two items. One is another Mountain House item, which has a very lengthy description, but essentially it's additional modifications to the master plan, specific plan, subdivision. I could go on and on. It's a lot of applications. Right. So we'll have another Mountain House item coming before you, as well as a zone reclassification for an East Stockton project, which is changing some property from AU20 to residential and a little bit of commercial development as well. It's on Main Street and Walker Lane in Stockton. And finally, staff is planning on agendizing kind of our final study session on our development title update. We're going to identify a couple of things specific and do a presentation on them for discussion with the commission to get some feedback to make sure that staff is going in the direction that the commission would like to. So instead of asking you to reread the 800-page document, we are going to highlight the issues and then try to narrow it down for you. So that's what we have coming up in August. And then right now we only have one item on September 1st, which may or may not be heard. We're doing a little bit of management on that agenda as well. So tentatively, we could have an expansion of a boat storage facility in an existing marina. That would, you're welcome.
Comments? Seeing none, we're adjourned. Thank you.